Hi, this is Mark Pizzacalla and welcome to 3 Minutes with Mark for November 2023. Now, what I really want to talk about today is tax reform, and tax reform is critical. We've just had about the 13th increase, I think, in interest rates. So it's time to have a real serious discussion about what to do. We can't leave all the heavy lifting up to the RBA. After all, in a 2 or 3 speed economy, which is what I believe we're in, the RBA really only has one lever to pull, and that's the interest lever. And that's not going to be sufficient. It's not going to be targeted enough or good enough when you've got a 2 or 3 speed economy. On top of that, we've got that controversial argument about, well, do we have a demand issue or a supply issue, which is causing us the current situation in terms of inflation and other things. So that will change the way you approach the problem. Also, the level of debt, which is significant collectively as a country, particularly in Victoria. So who's going to pay for all that? So 3 reform issues to take up. 1, personal tax versus company tax versus GST. I mean, it's an old chestnut, but there was a draft paper released back in 2016, and it indicated and showed that we are, as a country, highly reliant on company tax and personal taxes. It's about 60% of the total tax take. It's way too much. Something has to be done. GST is the obvious answer in terms of either lifting the rate or broadening the base. They're the choices we've got, and they're the choices that we're going to need to make. And not everyone's going to be happy with it, but look, it has worked in New Zealand and other countries. Second one, inheritance tax. Now, that's a controversial discussion, but intergenerational transfers of wealth are going to be somewhere around $3 trillion in the next 20 years. That's the most significant in Australia's history, mainly due to the ageing population. So again, that we need to have a mature discussion around that. And, I know inheritance tax was abolished in 1979. Is there a number that people can agree on? It might be 15 mil, it might be 20 mil, it might be a high number, but a number that addresses that issue. So that's going to be a controversial discussion. Third one, just as controversial and dynamite, the main residence. Is it time that, as a country, and I know it's a sacred cow, but is it time that main residence gets looked at? If you look at it, main residence values, since COVID in particular, they've doubled in value, some properties that I've seen at least. And so you look at it and you think, wow, it's an unproductive asset in an economic sense. And, is there a number that we can address that issue with? Again, I know it's a sacred cow, but is it possible to pick a base case where you might say, again, let's look at a $15 million number just as a discussion point and say, well, we'll allow, the CGT discount up until we'll allow the whole main residence to be tax-free up until that point. But post that point, let's make it a post-CGT asset and let's tax it in accordance with the normal CGT rules. Look, these are just discussion points that people are having in the market, and I think it's important that we all have a mature discussion as we go into 2024. Something has to be done. We need real tax reform. Speak soon.